Big news for the San Diego Padres in spring training. Some new names getting in the mix for some of the roster spots. Some guys that you might need to get to know early in this season. What's going on, everybody? The Padres have hit 10 preseason games. I'm going to give you the TLDR of everything going on for the last couple of roster spots, competitions that we've got going on. Before we get there, though, got to introduce myself. My name is Christian Pedersen. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Padres Digest, your source for somebody who's just here to ride shotgun with you emotionally on the Padres season, bringing some takes, reaction, information, updates, all that kind of stuff. So if you could please hit that subscribe button, you could, A, make it easier for me to get you content, and B, we are baseball people. We are stats-driven people. You can help me correct this stat right here. We need to get that to be more subscribed returning viewers than not subscribed returning viewers. We appreciate the new people, but we got to build a community. We got to flipping this raises my war as a podcaster. If you are a baseball person, I would appreciate the help there. All right, let's go back to what I was showing you here at the top of the show. This is the first guy that I want to talk about in our who's in play for platoon backup last 3 to 5 guys off of the bench. This man right here, Forrest Wall, one of the names that is brand new to this competition. I don't think very many, if any, people had him on the radar for making the Padres roster. So far, though, through spring training, he's hitting .313 through these first 10 games for the Padres. He's got a pair of home runs. Let me show you one of them here. This one coming against the White Sox late in a game. So the guy is red hot right now. Granted, we have a couple more weeks of spring training, so all of this is somewhat overreactionary, but we need something to talk about still through spring training. He is hitting very, very well. Forrest Wall is one of the top 3 hitters for the San Diego Padres in terms of hits, averages, slugging percentage, all of that. It's him, Tirso Ornelas, who has been on the conversation. He is the Padres' best incoming minor league prospect, and I think absolutely making himself a case for the San Diego Padres. We've made other videos dedicated singularly to what he's going on. I'm almost considering him, though, in this conversation as having made the team and not even in these back couple numbers. Check out the video that we did for him on our channel. That's why I say subscribe. You get all these great things as the season's going on. But if it's Tirso Ornelas, it's Forrest Wall, then the third guy in that top 3 for basically every offensive category right now is a guy named Oscar Gonzalez. He is another outfielder. We'll show you one of his hits here coming against the A's. Guy's got a nice swing. My question, though, in bringing up these two guys right now is, if the season started tomorrow, what do the Padres want? What do the Padres need? What benefits the Padres most? I think going into spring training, the thought amongst conventional wisdom was it's going to be Connor Joe, Jason Hayward, and Tirso Ornelas sort of battling, figuring, platooning it out in left field with Merrill and Tatis rounding out the outfield. I think that was kind of where everybody's focus was initially. But right now, Jason Hayward has not gotten a hit in spring training. He's walked once, scored a run. Okay, maybe he's a veteran who just needs a little bit more time. Maybe he is washed. You don't know necessarily entirely through 6 at-bats, but we've got him on a contract. We can go 20 games of Forrest Wall until Forrest Wall dies off and then go to Jason Hayward. Let's keep him as an option. But right now, I would vote you go with the guys who are hot. You go with the guys who are hitting the ball, because ultimately you just want bats. You just need bats. You need to find guys who bring good mojo and vibes into the lineup. And I think the Padres have to do everything they can to avoid falling anything more than a couple of games behind the Dodgers in the first 20 games of the season. Keep it close. Let's make it seem that the Dodgers are realistically in play here, and let's get to going. We can dial in after that in terms of who's the exact lineup and how does this all work out. But I think Oscar Wilde, Forrest Wall get my votes. They go with Tirso. Interestingly enough, if you look on the Padres website, the other guy that we had talked about in this left field conversation, Connor Joe, is now listed as a first baseman under his position. He has played both first base and left field, so I think that Connor Joe can still be considered in that left field, but the Padres are somewhat tipping their cards on where they see him as the backup to Luis Arraez at first base. He's a lefty to a righty, so maybe there's some situational there. Arraez is a fantastic hitter. I would assume he will want to play most of the games, so Joe is there as an available first baseman backup. list him as a left fielder backup. That also puts him maybe over into the DH backup. Eguy Rosario is also hitting very well throughout the preseason. He has been kind of tapped as the third base DH, so he takes another one of those spots. Like, he is kind of a starter. He's also kind of a platoon guy if, for whatever reason, like, say, you want to put Forrest Wall at DH for a day, Eguy at third to give Manny a day. Like, you start to build back up. Some of what made the Padres successful the last couple seasons is having those permutations where they can keep bats fresh. They can sub guys out who are cold, who are hot, who are this, who are that, get pieces moved in the right places, and keep everything humming along nicely. We thought maybe going into this preseason it was going to be a little let's backtrack that a little bit to after losing out on Sasaki. I think it felt like Profar goes, Ha-Sung Kim goes, it was go, not gain. So we didn't really know if there was going to be any depth. This right now might not last 162. This might not last 20 games. This might not last 10 games. But like I'm saying, if it's starting tomorrow, you got to learn the name Oscar Gonzalez. You got to learn the name Forrest Wall. I think both of them make it. Catching-wise, Luis Campusano has made his appearance in spring training. He has a couple of hits. I think that he takes all the pressure off of Ethan Salas and is utterly disposable, unfortunately. Campy is great. I love Campy. He is a fan. Like, the fans like him. No disrespect to him. I just think that most likely if Ethan Salas does at some point develop into, like, okay, he's MLB ready, you could dump either of the catchers that we have, and I don't think anybody would ultimately be in an uproar if it meant putting an 18 or 19-year-old Ethan Salas into the permutation. That being said, Ethan Salas, he's looked good. He hasn't looked phenomenal. He's drawn a couple walks. He's shown some maturity. I think that if Campy can do a little back and forth platooning backup role right there, you put Salas down in the minors, let him stew for just a little bit, let him get real hot, let him perform real well in the minors, bring him up when there is a no pressure type of situation. Hey, the Padres got their roster and their lineup all figured out. Somebody tweaks a hammy, we'll pull Ethan up, get him a little MLB service time, get him a taste for it. So I think that catching-wise, we just need to go with Diaz and Campusano, drop Salas down to the minors. Then you're talking about the last couple spots. Do we want to give it to Tyler Wade? Do we want to give it to Leo DeVries? I think DeVries has shown the bat is there. It is not necessarily that he has shown a ton of offensive output that makes you go like, oh, wow, like he's MLB ready. He would be fantastic. Probably he would be a 225 hitter, a 200 hitter. He might be a 170 hitter, but he has shown this, which is defensive skill. Great throw, ranging to his right in the hole as a shortstop here. He could be if Jake or Xander, someone up the middle, needs a day and you don't want to risk losing your defense and you got enough hitters that are hot right now, so you can go with a guy who is the defensive, like he's really good defensively. His metrics are going to play out that you don't lose any runs because of playing him, and maybe he is a little bit dead weight offensively on that end. But like you said, the defensive metrics play out that it would be better to have him than anybody else at the spot. That's where I want to hear from you guys. I think that's the spot where I'm still a little bit like, I don't see necessarily one path versus the other that is quite like boom, set. But to tie this all back together, the Oscar Gonzalez Forrest Wall combo out there in left with Terso as well, allowing Connor Joe to come into the infield, and then Eguy and Connor to have those corner positions done. Campy batting or backing up at catcher. We're looking actually, I think, plush. I think the Padres are good, verging on if one of those three left fielders can hit pretty well, if Xander cannot have a regression year, this could be a 95-win Padre team. These guys will be the background pieces to it, but there's some guys' names that we need to learn here, because I think some guys are really balling out, and at least 2 or 3 of these guys will have some signature moments throughout the 2025 campaign for the San Diego Padres. Let me know what you think, though. Drop a comment below, And as I said at the beginning, please hit that subscribe button. It is much appreciated, and it helps me get my content straight to you all season long. Thank you very much, Friar Faithful. 10 games into spring training. The season's looking pretty good. We'll have more for you, though, coming soon.